Hello, physics scholars. I am sitting here on my patio in Pacific Beach with a cup of coffee. And I'm honestly feeling a little bittersweet because, well, the sweet is because we just intersected our lives for a whole year for many of you and for 6 months for the rest of you. And that intersection was at this moment in your life when you're building your career, you're building your future, you're building your dreams, and that is beautiful. And I take it really seriously, and I feel really grateful and honored that I got to be a part of at least that one year. And then the bitter part of the bittersweet is that it's only a year, and I say goodbye, and you all go off and go do your great things and live your lives. So I don't know what to do with that, and I don't know how to say goodbye all the time. But I feel like a good start is just to pretend this is like a mini graduation speech, and I'm, sharing a little bit of wisdom and stuff that I've picked up. So that's what I'm gonna do. I've shared lots of quotes with you over the course of the last year, but they've mostly been other people's quotes. And so this time I'm going to share three of my own. Okay? And I hope that they're of value to you and they rattle around your brain. And if you ever feel stuck, maybe they can help at some point. So, my first quote, my first tip for life, and I should say that these three tips that I'm going to share, they came as a result of learning through a lot of my own failures, which there's been plenty. Many of you don't know that I originally was going to be an academic physicist. Well, first I was going to be a rock star. Then I was going to be an academic physicist. Then I got into a lab and I felt really lonely. So I went to law school and I started becoming an international human rights lawyer. Then I went back to physics grad school in a different program. Still, at Scripps, like by the beach. My office was the beach. And I still wasn't happy. And then it was only after all that that I was like, wait, I should be teaching. That's the only time I've ever been happy. And then I became a writer, and then I became a teacher again. So life isn't always as like one smooth trajectory as you think it's going to be. Sometimes it takes some experimentation, and you learn a lot along the way. And that's what I hope to share with you. Okay, enough gabbing, Scott. Rule number one, tip number one for life is clarify your values. And I know this is something that as teachers we're always so bad at doing. As teachers, we always impose our own values on you. But let's face it, life is complicated, okay? And there's not a lot that tells us what the right thing to do is when life gets complicated. But if there's any one good compass, it is our values. And what by values I mean, what are those things that just live inside of us, that drive us, that make life meaningful, that fill our lives with purpose, that makes us want to get up in the morning? What are those things for you? Okay? And the list could be so long. Okay? It could be creativity. It could be contribution, service, integrity. It could be love. It could be adventure. It could be thrill. It could be growth. It could be discovery. It could be, financial comfort, right? And that's fine too. But all of us, there are these things that live in us that are kind of mysterious. Like, where does it come from? For example, my three biggest values are creativity, contribution, and adventure, right? I love just discovering and exploring the world, and that brings so much joy and fulfillment to my life. And I don't know why those are my values. I don't know why that makes life meaningful. But what I do know is that when I live my life, all right, when things get hard, if I remind myself of my values and I make my decisions in a way that serves those values, then even if it's the hard decision, I feel more fulfilled in the end, right? So if I'm really, really stuck in life and, you know, between two options, and then the option that I choose is in service of contribution, right? Of giving back to the world, I feel good. I feel filled up. So I just want to emphasize to take a moment, take some walks, and really ask yourself, what are those things for me? What is it that really makes my life meaningful? Because we're creatures of meaning. That's all there is to it. We're creatures of meaning, and that's what lets us feel like we lived a good life, a fulfilling life. Okay, number 2. This is basically a summary of all the quotes I've given all year. Number 2, learn to notice the stories that your mind tells you. Okay? Your mind is a story machine. It's like a radio station. It's designed to be that way so that you can solve problems, right? So what are those? What is it telling you? Sometimes it tells you awesome things, right? Sometimes you wake up in the morning, you're like, damn, I'm good. Life is good. I am capable of everything. And sometimes it tells you things that are very limiting. And sometimes the only difference between a successful person and a person that has not achieved their dreams is that they're listening to the wrong stories in their heads, telling them what they can and can't do, telling them what they're worth and what they're not worth. So I want to share just 2 very common stories that human heads like to tell, and I'm suggesting, inviting you to notice when they come up so that you can say, thank you very much, I'll be fine. Okay, story number 1 is, I am not worth much until I blank. And the blank could be until I graduate, until I get an A in this class, until I get my dream job, until I get married, until I've had kids, until I've bought a house, right? This is a dumb story. It's not true. As a human being, you have this intrinsic value, this intrinsic worth. You are the most amazing creature in the planet, right? Filled with all these talents and abilities and feelings and emotions and interests and drives, right? You have intrinsic worth, and all that other stuff, graduating, getting your dream job, getting married, having kids, that's fun. That's play, right? But it does not define your worth. You're already a completely worthy person that deserves all the very best things in life. Okay? Number 2, second most common story that minds like to tell us is, I have failed if I change my mind and do something different than what I always thought I would do. Okay? This is also really common. People stay so long in the wrong jobs, in the wrong majors, in the wrong relationships, because there's this feeling or this story that your mind tells you that you failed unless you stick to the thing that you always thought you were going to do. No, not necessarily. We don't know ourselves very much at 16, 18, 20, 24, 30 years old. Life is this experiment. We're continually getting to know what really drives us, right? And what are, as I said before, what are our values? What really makes life meaningful? And so don't be afraid to experiment. If you're doing something that's making you miserable, right? Ask yourself, maybe don't jump ship right away, but ask yourself why, and see, is there something else that I could do in life that's more aligned with my values, that'll be more fulfilling? If I was still stuck inside of a lab and not teaching and interacting with people, I would be miserable. But I made that brave decision to step away, even though I told my parents and my family that I was going to be a PhD physicist doing research at the cutting edge of science, right? And then I was like, wait, no, I'm going to teach high school. And then, later I taught college. But I made that hard decision, and it was the best decision I've ever made. And there's many other stories that your mind loves to tell you. And notice them. If you feel limited in some way, if you're feeling like some kind of a no inside here, it probably means there's some silly story that you're telling yourself, and that you can just be like, I see you, and I'm going to do what I care about anyway. All right. Last little tip before I get out of here, and that is, ready? Fear is never a good reason not to do something you care about. Fear is never a good reason to not do something you care about. And fear can be replaced with some other words. Anxiety. Anxiety is never a good reason not to do something you care about. Depression. Depression is never a good reason not to do something you care about. Okay? I'll be open and honest. I spent a long period of time in my 20s very afraid of a lot of stuff. Like good old classic social anxiety all the way up to, feelings of unworthiness, right? And even a little bit of depression. At some point, because of a very, very, very important teacher who I'm so grateful for, I learned that even if I'm terrified of something, even if I feel scared or sad or depressed or lethargic, I can still move my hands and move my feet in the direction of the things that I care about, right? And that's the only reason why I've built a life that I really love and feel really lucky about. That's the only reason, is because even when my brain and my heartbeat was screaming no, I still said yes. So practice saying yes to everything, even if it's scary, as long as it's something that's important to you, right? You don't have to say yes to the things that don't really matter, right? But if it's something that you can tell is important to you and would make life meaningful, say yes, even if there's fear there, even if there's depression, even if there's this feeling of unworthiness. Because they're like clouds. Those feelings, they're going to come and go for your entire life. I still get them. So say yes in spite of it. And you may find out that long enough time goes by saying yes, then the fear and some of that depression maybe goes away a little bit. Okay? And maybe you sit there and you just enjoy what you've built. So that's all. Hope those are helpful in some way. And I'm going to stop gabbing and just say that it was an honor to be a part of this year of your life. And I invite you to keep in touch and share your celebrations, share even your failures, and know that you got a fan and a cheerleader out there, wishing for all the best in your life. All right? Thank you for everything. Cheers.